It had been a day of playing and laughing. Katie discovered that when you play with two friends at the same time, you have to have enough game pieces. Orbie found out that making balloon faces with markers could sound squeaky. And they both realized that when they all danced to music, it was a good idea not to spin too fast. Yi-Ping had played over all day at Katie and Orbie's, and as dinner time got closer and closer, they were all feeling like playing some more. When the phone rang, Yi-Ping was under the blanket on Katie's bed, hiding from the Orbie dinosaur that was stalking the bedroom. Katie was hiding behind the door, and all that could be heard from the bedroom was loud laughter. So when Mom came to the door, they were all surprised to see her. Mom told them that Yi-Ping's father had called with a lovely invitation. Yi-Ping smiled broadly, and all three looked at Mom, waiting to hear what it was. Mom told them that Katie and Orbie had been invited for supper and a sleepover. Well, all three friends said nothing for a tiny moment, and then they all whooped and jumped up and down with glee. As soon as the bedroom was tidied and pajamas and teddy bears packed, the three of them hurried out the door, blowing kisses to Mom and Dad. Katie and Orbie carried over their sleeping bags as Yi-Ping's father led the sleepover parade to their house. At Yi-Ping's house, the dinner was almost ready. Yi-Ping's mom asked the three friends to put the overnight bags upstairs and wash their hands. In Yi-Ping's bedroom, there were 3 sleeping bags on the floor. Each had a flashlight beside it. The friends looked at each other. Clearly, this was going to be a fun night. In a wink, they were all sitting at the table, washed and ready for food. When Yi-Ping's mom brought the serving dishes in, there were all kinds of interesting things to look at. Some were so pretty it was hard to imagine eating them. Yi-Ping's mom put a little of each on their plates, and she told Katie and Orbie that Chinese people ate differently than North American people. And so she was going to let them try the food and see what they liked. Once they knew, they could have more. There were little strange shapes that turned out to be chicken in a lemon sauce. There were noodles, but they didn't have spaghetti or cream sauce on them. They had vegetables mixed in with them, and they were yummy. There were little envelopes of food that had more chicken and vegetables in them. You had to dip them in a plum sauce, and they were terrific. As Katie and Orbie looked at their plates, they couldn't wait to try it all. But there seemed to be one problem. Katie and Orbie looked at each other. There were no forks or spoons. Yi-Ping picked up 2 sticks that were lying beside her plate and seemed to flick them in the air. She looked at her mom to make sure it was time to start, and with the stick, she picked up one of the lemon chicken pieces and popped it into her mouth. Orbie was very impressed that she was so clever and burbled, "Good for you." Katie and Orbie picked up their sticks, too, and tried to flick them so that they could work with them like Yi-Ping. Katie's went flying across the room, and Orbie's hit him on the end of his nose. And no one said anything for a second, and then the friends just couldn't help it. They burst out laughing again. So did Yi-Ping's parents. And then Yi-Ping's dad got up and went around to pick up the stick Katie had lost. He brought Katie a clean one from the kitchen and moved behind her. He placed both sticks in her hand and showed her how to make them into good picker-uppers. Katie tried to pick up the lemon chicken, but it slipped right out. Orbie tried to copy what they were doing. Yi-Ping helped him. Soon he had the sticks in his hand properly, and it looked pretty good as he picked up a whole mess of noodles. But as he lifted them toward his mouth, they fell out all over the plate. Orbie was embarrassed, but Yi-Ping's mom told him not to worry, that everyone had to learn how to use chopsticks. Orbie smiled weakly and tried again. This time he managed to get a few noodles to his mouth, and he smiled because they tasted so good. Katie, meanwhile, was still chasing her lemon chicken piece. It looked so good, and she was so keen to try it that each time that she got the sticks to hold it, it slipped out and across her plate. Well, soon there was so much giggling and laughing at the table that there was next to no one eating. Yi Ping's father showed Katie and then Orbie how to hold the chopsticks again. And this time it seems that their fingers understood. And slowly, Orbie lifted noodles and Katie lifted a piece of lemon chicken, and the food made it all the way to their mouths. No one made a move when Yi Ping giggled. Katie tasted the lemon chicken. It was yummy. Orbie slid the slippery, juicy noodles right into his mouth. And after that first bite, they were so proud of themselves they grinned from ear to ear. And once they had the hang of the chopsticks, they tasted everything. Chinese food was wonderful. Once you got it into your mouth. Katie told Yi Ping that she thought Yi Ping was amazing for knowing how to use them so well. Yi Ping's mother told Katie that when they moved here, Yi Ping had to learn how to use the knife and fork the way Katie did. Orbie tooted that everybody was learning something. That night, after a story about a unicorn in Chinese stories, the three friends piled into their sleeping bags and made their flashlights dance all over the ceiling. And when they finally fell asleep, Katie dreamt of the chopsticks and how she was very good at eating with them. And Orbie dreamt of the chopsticks and his noodles, and how he was very good at eating with them. And Yi Ping dreamt that her two best friends were with her night and day. In the end, all the dreams were true. Katie and Orbie thought it was fun to get better and better at eating with chopsticks. And do you know that all over the world, different people cook and eat in different ways than you do? Isn't that interesting? And if you're practicing getting better at a new skill right now, the more you practice, the better you'll be. And I happen to know that if you want, you can be very good at almost everything.